Today we are doing an updated version of my Power Rangers cosplay guide. This is partially my new Morphin Power Rangers Blue Ranger, partially Super Sentai Zyurangers Tricera Ranger. So there's a little bit of influences from both costumes. I know they're pretty much the same costume, but there's a little bit of influences from both Super Sentai and my Morphin Power Rangers. So in today's video we're going to be showing some extra information, advice, and tips and tricks for this costume in an updated version of the one that I showed a few years back. And I'll also be wearing this costume to PRGE, Portland Retro Gaming Expo, in less than a week. And then I'll go into detail of how I installed a second fan into my Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Lightning Collection helmet, which should be really cool and helpful and interesting if you're going to be wearing a helmet or any type of helmet for a Power Rangers costume. Alright everybody, now I've got the cosplay on. I've got the gloves, the arm part of the gloves, which I made these custom, the morph suit, and there's stuff underneath it, which you'll find out about in the rest of this video. I've got my custom belt with my Zyuranger belt buckle that I made. I've got the Nintendo Zapper in this gun holster over here. And then there's one other part of this costume, well I guess two, is the helmet and this face mask that I'll put over my face. But I did want to show you this part because it's hard to talk with the helmet on as loudly as I can like this, and clearly as I can like this. And then, yeah, that's about it for the cosplay. Got the arms, the face mask, the helmet, this, and the suit. The only differences that you'll be seeing here between the actual finished project is I'm going to put another diamond on there, which you can see this one's not even sewn on all the way, and there's a thread hanging off, so it's incomplete there. This one I'm going to add more diamonds to it as well, but this one's almost done. I can't zip up the back of the costume because I need help, so I can't do that, but it will be zipped up normally. I can't reach back there very well. Oh man. So that's another reason why it's unzipped. But let's go ahead and finish up this cosplay and put on the helmet, and I'll show you what it's like fully. So this is what it looks like with just this part on. You want it to cover up your neck, or either that be tucked into the neck of the costume. This will help if you have a beard. This will help if you have any kind of facial hair from getting in the fan or any part of the helmet, or showing up underneath the helmet through the costume like I do. I have a beard, so this is an essential part of it. It also helps to cover your neck white, so it's not just the rest of the costume. We're going to have to put this on now. And before I do that, I'm going to turn on the fans inside as well to make sure those are working. Alright, let's put it on. Alright, for this cosplay, there's only two parts that are really essential to this cosplay. These will definitely make or break your costume, depending on how they look and if you have them or don't have them. So you definitely need these two parts. But as we'll soon see, there's a lot more underneath and over this costume. So you don't want to skip the first two, definitely. You definitely need these first two. And the first of those two pieces is this, a helmet. Now you don't have to use the exact helmet I used. You can use a Halloween mask type helmet. You can use an actual cosplay, professionally made or 3D printed helmet, or sculpted helmet as well. But I went with this that I bought a couple years ago. This is the Lightning Collection official Hasbro Power Rangers helmet, which is a pretty good replica and a pretty good helmet in my opinion. I haven't compared it too much to any other official Lightning Collection helmets, so I don't know how it differs from Ranger to Ranger. I heard some of them might be better or worse than others. Also, cosplay helmets might be a little bit bigger or easier to use, but they also might cost more because they're made by a person instead of a company. But keep in mind, this one was still closely to $100 before any added parts or any features changed. So this is the helmet itself. There's the side view. It's pretty big, but I feel like it could be a little bit bigger for my body type. If I was to get a homemade or a fan made or a person making a helmet for me, I might ask them to make it a little bit bigger than this Lightning Collection helmet if possible. And there's the back. Now this opens up here, and it's got these clamps right here and here on both sides that are actually magnets. So it magnetizes like that and closes tight. It doesn't have a lock or a clip. However, it looks like it has a clip. It's just built into the plastic itself. It's some of the design choices that were also, I believe, in the show. So I think it's pretty close and pretty accurate to the way that it looks on screen in the actual original show. After I go through all the costume pieces, we will go through what is going on inside this helmet. All you really need to know right now is there's a fan installed there and a fan installed there. And these are cords that go to a USB power brick, which is going to be right there. It's actually charging right now. So that'll be attached there. And then it plugs into this USB port. There's also a USB splitter, so both fans get power. And that's an essential part of this costume. It's not necessarily required that your helmet has fans inside, but if you're going to wear this outside to a convention or anywhere for more than 5 minutes, you're probably going to want a fan installed in this helmet. The second essential part of this cosplay is this, a suit. Now this is a full jumpsuit. It's a full spandex type suit that covers your whole body for the most part. It starts down here with the feet, which are closed off right now. As you can see, this is the leg, and then this is where your feet go. I might cut this off and just leave it so my feet can be in my shoes without being part of this one-piece suit, but I'm not sure about that just yet. I'm going to try that out later on. So far it works fine just the way it is. And then I'll pull this down here. I believe this suit is a extra large size, just to let you know. There has been some modifications to this as well, but this is actually a name brand suit by the brand Morph Suits. As you can see, they put their logo on the butt area of the costume. Now if you do get a morph suit, they're actually pretty good, and I do recommend them. They're really nice. But I would also recommend doing what I did on this, was taking a blue Sharpie, a fabric Sharpie of the solid blue color, or whatever color your Ranger costume might be, and coloring in, as I did, the morph suit logo. You want to use the fabric Sharpies, not a regular Sharpie. It'll work pretty good. It might bleed a little bit over the edge, as mine did, but this will help minimize the appearance of the morph suit's logo. It won't be as noticeable, because normally it's white, just like this white, so it really does stand out, but with this being colored in blue, it definitely looks a little more subdued. So the only other things to know about this morph suit are the things that I modified on it. One of the things I did was I took the arms section, which is pretty good and fairly accurate to show, but what I did was I cut off the hands, because there's actually gloves on these, like built into it normally, kind of like how there's feet. So normally this suit has built-in gloves, so it's like an entire spandex suit that covers your entire body, head to toe. I cut off the hands, so I'm using my own gloves, and they actually go up over this diamond area. Now, one thing that I was curious about Power Rangers is, as far as I can tell, in the show, and also based on some of the Bandai figures from Super Sentai Zyuranger, there are 4 diamonds on each arm. On this one, there's 2 diamonds. There's 1 on each side, so I'm not sure exactly. I tried pausing the show, both Power Rangers and Super Sentai Zyuranger, at different frames, and I think it's supposed to be 4, but on this costume it has 2. Something to keep an eye on if you're trying to get to show accurate. We're also making our own version of this part of the arm where it has the diamonds, so we'll show that later in the video as well. With 4 diamonds instead of just 2. And one other thing that I did on this costume to modify the morph suit part is the head. Now normally the morph suit, it folds over your head and it has the entire Power Rangers helmet built into it. But I have my own helmet and it looks kind of weird. on this costume, just wearing the morph suit. I think it looks pretty kind of freaky actually, because it's like a skin tight mask instead of an actual helmet. So what I did was I cut off the whole entire helmet part of this costume, so it's just a neck. And then what I also did was I folded it over and sewed it. Especially, not so much on the front because there's already a seam built into the suit, so I cut along the seam and left the seam there. But on the back, what I did was I folded over. There wasn't a seam in the back, so I folded over, sewed it in. And the stitching was a little tricky to do because this is a really stretchy material, and it was just kind of tricky to sew, but it did work. And then I folded over the zipper so that way the zipper can't come loose, because this has a zipper that goes all the way up, and I did have to cut part of the zipper off. But the zipper is essential to wearing this costume, so you want to make sure you keep the zipper safe. And there's actually, I believe there's normally 2 zippers on this, but one of them will be gone because you just need to cut it off. I had a video of me doing that, but unfortunately it's been lost to time. And then this part just unzips here, goes all the way down. I kind of wish it went down a little bit further because it is a little tricky to put on. But you can see it opens up like that with the zipper, goes down almost to the waist, and you just kind of step inside and wear it like a glove. It's kind of weird feeling at first, but it does work with the morph suit, and it is an essential part of this cosplay. So I would say between this morph suit and this helmet here, these are the 2 parts of the costume that you're definitely going to want to have. But as we'll see now, there are more parts to this cosplay than meets the eye, and there are more things that go underneath the cosplay as well as on top of the cosplay that I'll get to now. We're going to start with things that go under the cosplay because I feel like those are more essential in a way, and you'll understand what I mean if you've tried this on before or worn a cosplay like this before. If you haven't, I'd advise you to also consider getting all these other parts. Alright, so a very important piece of this costume is underwear. You're going to want 2 pieces of underwear. So yes, you're going to be wearing 2 underwears, especially if you're a guy. And there's a pretty obvious reason for that. If you're a guy and you have a, you know what, you need this for sure for this cosplay. Otherwise you'll have a bulge. And nobody wants to see your bulge at the convention. They want to see your costume and not be creeped out. Even if it's not a full bulge, it's just, you don't want that sticking out in your costume. And if you're a woman and you don't have a, you know what, you still might want this. So keep this in mind no matter what. So what we've got here, and this goes on the outside. There's actually 2 pieces of underwear that you're probably going to want if you want to do it the way that I did it. You can also do it your own way, or try to find your own way to do it. But I used 2 different underwears on this costume. It's kind of weird showing my underwear on the internet. But these are what I wear. These are spandexy, very stretchy underwear. They can be kind of tight. These are the XL size, not XXL. You want to get like a size maybe a little bit smaller than what you might normally wear for your pants. I would say, especially for this costume, you're going to want to be as tight as possible but still comfortable. So maybe not 2 sizes too low, but just 1 size low, because it will stretch definitely over the time. And the main purpose of this underwear here, the blue one, is to keep this part compressed. You want to keep it as compressed as possible. There are things that are even more compressing underwear, like for dancers. There's a thing called a dancer's belt that guys can wear to compress their genital area. But this is what I'm using because it's more comfortable for a longer amount of time. And it, for me at least, it does the job. So this part doesn't have a fly like most men's underwear do. There's no fly here, there's no way out, which can be a problem if you have to go to the bathroom during a costume convention or anything like that when you're wearing this cosplay. It can be a little tricky and take extra time, so you want to keep that in mind as well. But for the most part, this will help your cosplay a lot. So this is pretty tight here, but to even further that, we've got this white underwear And you don't have to do blue. I just did blue because it's the Blue Ranger. But you can do black or whatever color you like. This underwear, you can see it's kind of tight too. It looks smaller than the blue underwear. This white underwear goes over the blue underwear. Now, for whatever reason, this one does have a flap here. It's kind of a weird like hole pouch, like almost like a pocket, which is weird, but you know, it is what it is. Originally, I thought this didn't have that, and it was just tight like the blue one, but it's not. But what this white underwear is good for is a couple things. This is really super stretchy, like stretchier than even the blue one. This stuff is like that. It seems tight. It feels firm to your hand. It feels like tough and stuff, like tough cotton, but it stretches like super far. And then this part also really stretches out a lot. And this one is also XL size. Just to let you know, they're both XL size underwear, but the costume, I believe, the morph suit is XXL, I believe. And then it also has these like bars in it, which are like really hard, like almost, I think they're plastic inside maybe. And these bars help keep this supported when it's on you. So you can kind of tell that the legs, if they were to go to the same length as the blue one, this actually goes up higher on your waist. So if you're an overweight person, or you've got a little bit of belly, even like at the slightest, which is unlike most of the Ranger characters in the show, this will help your belly too. So it won't only just help your groin area, it'll help your belly area too. And it really is noticeable when you have this on versus when you don't have this on. So this actually goes up over your waist area, a little bit past the belt line, and significantly past the belt line actually. And it'll help kind of compress your stomach area, as well as a little bit of the crotch area. But to double that effect, we couple it with the blue underwear. So these are a really important part of the costume. You might not think about it first when buying the costume, but if you don't have it, it's almost like you're naked at a convention, and you don't want that. There are a couple other things that you want to add underneath the costume as well. So under the morph suit, a couple things that you're going to want to have is this. Well, it is inside out right now, but this is a long sleeve, stretchy spandex turtleneck shirt. This is also size XL, I believe. And what I did on this one, the only modification for this one, and you want to get a white one for sure, is cut off the arms. It does get pretty hot wearing a turtleneck shirt at a convention. I've done it with this cosplay as well as a Batman cosplay that I did in the past. Both of them had turtleneck shirts, and it gets really hot. So to reduce the amount of heat and covering of your body, you really don't need the arms of this turtleneck, so I cut them off. It actually looks better without the arms, I think, because it just kind of gets in the way of the rest of the morph suit. This part right here is nice because if you have, let's be honest, if your nipples show through spandex pretty easily, because once again, wearing this morph suit is almost like being nude, except for, you can see the colors on it and stuff. If you're feeling like maybe you're showing too much through that costume in any way, shape, or form, this will help with that, because this will just neutralize the color of your skin to white and make it, you know, not as apparent that it's just your skin, because you can actually see your skin through the morph suit sometimes. But with this, you would just see white, which is more authentic to the costume, and I'd say more appropriate. It makes you feel more comfortable at a convention as well. And then additionally, it's got the turtleneck built in, which originally kind of goes with the costume. I don't know if I need this or not. I kind of want to try it without this. But originally this was a must-have because of the turtleneck would go cover up my neck on the costume and my beard. So if you have facial hair, you definitely want to put this part over your facial hair, up at the top here where this turtleneck is. You want to put this like up really high as possible, like up to your mouth almost. And then when you put the helmet on, it should look great with this underneath the morph suit and the helmet over this. So that's another essential part of the costume. This piece here is a more recent addition to the costume that I've only worn at the most recent convention that I went to back a few months ago. This is a face mask. So it's a really big head covering face mask. This part goes on the top of your head, this is on your neck, which is why the previous item I showed, I was like, maybe I don't need the turtleneck or not, or at all, because this kind of covers my neck too, and kind of does the same thing but in the opposite direction, because it's coming from the top of your head down to the bottom. So this might be optional. You can kind of choose between this and the turtleneck, but I'd say you might as well just do both. This part opens up for your face, so your eyes will be here. This part covers your mouth, and it's all very stretchy too, so it's very stretchy material. It's not super spandexy, but this one is stretchy enough. It's kind of like a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. Alright, so if you remember on the morph suit, I cut off the hand area of the morph suit. So to replace that, we need gloves. I found it's easier to use long gloves versus short gloves. You can also use short gloves if you want, but what I did was I got 2 long gloves. So these are just 2 gloves, white gloves. They kind of have a shine to them, which kind of helps too. They're a little bit shiny. They're not just solid matte, but they are stretchy. And I have 2 of them. These are the same length. And then a new part of the costume that I'm still working on as we speak, it'll be finished before the end of the week, is this. These are they're kind of like extended gloves, or I don't know what you really call them. I don't really know the name for them. It's like a glove for your wrist. It's like a wrist guard, basically. And I'm sewing, as you can see, I've got this loose thread here that I didn't finish up, diamonds on them. And so it should have 4 diamonds on it by the time it's done. This one doesn't have anything else on it. This one over here, I've completed 2 sides of it. This is sewn on. I need to wash that part off first. There's a little stain on it from something else. So originally I had these at the last convention I went to. These part right here. And this is like a pleather material. But this is a fabric from a t-shirt that I'm sewing onto it. Originally I had these at the previous convention and I glued them onto here, which is why there's this residue there. But I'm going to have to wash that off. It'll come off pretty easily, I hope. And I've got one on the back, so I got one there, one there. But I'm going to put some more on the other in between sides, like there. Yeah, I had a whole video planned separately like a few months ago where I showed how I made these. These were actually gloves too, but they felt really weird and because they're like a pleather material. So I cut the hands off of this too and I sewed it together on the inside. So I flipped it over and sewed it so it's tight. This part up here was already like that, so I didn't have to sew it, but I did sew on these diamonds. And originally, these diamonds were glued on. The glue did not last very long. So I had to end up taking these off at the convention and just using what was on the morph suit. But for the PRGE, we're going to be using these. Hopefully, if it looks good. I haven't really tried it on entirely because they're not entirely finished. But the gloves will go on your hands. This will go slide up on the glove like that, or wherever side it goes to. And then the morph suit will go kind of underneath it all. So that's just another way to make your gloves look a little bit better. In the future, I do want to get gloves that have a little more sturdiness to them, maybe leather, and have like these ridges on. There's like lines. There's like 4 lines or something on the top of the glove on this part of your hand. That is more authentic to the show. I couldn't find anything like that online. I found it on cosplay websites, but they were about $50 for the gloves themselves, which I'll be willing to pay in the future, but with the shipping and the time, I don't have enough time to get it right now, and the money for buying that right now. Since I already have this, I'm just going with this, but in the future, we might change it up with that. And just so you know, this is what it looks like, the diamonds that I cut out, which will be going on the parts of the gloves later on. So that brings us to the next part of an outside of the costume accessory, and that is a belt. You want to get a white belt. This one is leather. It's actually pretty cheap. It doesn't cost too much. I got it on Amazon. This one's pretty cool because it has like a belt loop that kind of clicks into place. It doesn't have the normal like poke through thing to lock the belt mechanism. It just kind of slides in, and then to unlock it, I believe you lift this flap here. I printed out and made this Z-Ranger Super Sentai emblem for your belt of the costume. So I printed this out on paper, and I had a video on this one too, but I lost the footage. This was on black and white paper. How I got this picture was, I found a picture of a toy from Japan on a YouTube video. I screenshotted it, adjusted it to the right size, printed out on black and white paper. This red part I actually colored in with a Sharpie. You can kind of tell that I colored it in and it's not printed that way. But this is more authentic to the Super Sentai costume versus what's on the morph suit where it says Power Rangers. On the back I put a Velcro, which I might replace that Velcro because it kind of got ripped a little bit. But I put Velcro on the back, and then on this printer paper I also glued it onto cardboard. So this belt and this belt buckle go together like that, and then you've got it on there. And it's Velcro, so it's not going to like fall off with tape or anything like that. You can remove it very easily. However, this kind of got messed up, so I'm probably just going to put a new Velcro on it because I got more Velcro. One additional part of the costume is a gun holster. This is a leather gun holster. It's actually pretty heavy duty. It's probably the most heavy duty thing on this costume in terms of what's leather. Like, this is a leather belt, and there's gloves and all that. But this thing's like a real deal one. And then you'll have this gun holster on the side of your white belt, which goes over the morph suit, of course. Now, you could also go the distance and make a gun authentic to the show. But what I did was I got a Nintendo Zapper, which is red, so it's safe, or orangish, so it's safe. It's also, we're going to a retro game convention, so it makes sense. And this gun's already pretty close to what they might use in Super Sentai, so I thought it was funny to use an actual Nintendo Zapper. This is an actual Zapper that I took the cable out. When you take apart the Zapper, this part comes off and this part comes off. There's actually like a detachable like chip part inside here that you can just like kind of like pull out, and then that allows it to, once you screw it back up together, allows it to be functional and not have a cord, because you don't want that cable in the way of your costume. So here's another essential part of the costume, but it's not like necessarily required. It's the gun holster, the belt, and the Zapper, as well as this, which if you're going to have a belt, you got to have this. Now, aside from shoes or boots, whatever you choose to wear on your feet, this is pretty much all you need for this costume guide. And one other thing that you want to keep in mind, if the costume starts to get kind of slouchy, which for me the costume is XXL, so it kind of gets slouchy on the legs area, what I'm going to do this time is I have little safety pins, like little tiny safety pins, and I'll pin up parts of the costume so that way it doesn't slouch on me. That's another tip. But for now, that's about it for this costume and cosplay guide. Let's jump in with the helmet, and I'll show you how I installed and how you can install a fan system using USB and a power brick and a USB fan for computers into this helmet to keep you cool, which not only helps you stay cooled down, it also helps with fogging up of the glasses, or the glass area of this visor on the helmet. So you'll be able to see, breathe, and wear the helmet as you would like.